Hi everyone, I'm your host Christine, and today I'm joined by Andrea and Jakes from Aegis Organization. Aegis Organization is an authorized representative of AIA Singapore Private Limited. To our audience, just a brief background. Andrea is a mom of one girl and has been in the industry for 8 years, while Jakes is the father of 2 girls and has been in the industry for 5 years. Hi.
Hi.
Very welcome to today's discussion. And today we're going to broach on the topic of budgeting and lifestyle inflation. Let's start off with budgeting. Would you be able to share with me how do you set aside a budget, or how do you budget for expenses every month? Is it in the form of Excel, or is it just all in your mind?
For now, I only just started last month. I use this app called Buddy to record all my expenses. I have this habit of just spending and then don't know how much I spend. Since last month, I have been recording and I see that the allocation of my expenses are actually going to home stuff. Nowadays, all of us are working from home. So groceries, I spend a lot over there, like in that area. Yep.
What about Jakes?
So I don't really do budgeting, but I try to spend within what is needed only. And for the ones, of course, then I will budget that accordingly. So for the needed, I usually don't really budget it. I just do it on a weekly basis, like my groceries or utilities. I just try not to increase it. So example, every week I go to the supermarket for my family grocery. It costs about $100 to $150 per week. So I will one shot buy for the entire week. And then I'll try not to overspend that. If I overspend that, next week I'll just try to cut down a little, but I will not literally go and jot it down and then take note, because I feel all these are essential needs and I have no much control over. Unless he's talking about ones like my children purchasing toys and me purchasing my own stuff.
Okay, it's very interesting. So we have 2 different styles here. Andrea is the one who would document everything down so that she knows exactly what is in and what is out. For yourself, Jakes, right, is you already know what is essential, then you only pay attention to those who are not essential and try not to spend a lot on those. I'm just curious, what motivated you guys to, whether formally or informally, whether on paper or not on paper, digital app or not digital app, to actually go and keep track or monitor what your expenses are? What motivated you?
I think for me, I just wanted to be more clear about where did I spend my money on, because the next big ticket item that I'm actually saving up for is actually for my next house. So I was telling myself that I have to spend wisely.
Okay, what about Jakes then?
No choice there. So if you don't want your bank to be depleting to a net zero or to be overspending above what you earn, then there have to be certain level of control in place, whether is it back of your mind or like what Andrea did. So not really something that motivates me, but I need to make sure that this happens. This is the part of the essential that in order for the finances to run in proper.
No, some people, right, they believe in, okay, once you receive your paycheck or you receive your income from your business, right, some of us will spend first for what we want and what we need, and then we save. So some of us will save first, then after saving, putting aside this portion, then we will sort of think how we can spend the remaining. Which category do you belong to?
I belong to the save first and spend.
Okay.
I always save at least 20% of my income into another bank, which I cannot touch.
Okay. What about Jakes then? How do you manage? Which category do you belong to first?
I don't belong to any spectrum, so I do both concurrently at the same time. I don't have multiple accounts that I manage my money. I only have one account. Whatever comes in, whatever goes out, I will just go through that account.
Okay.
The only difference is whatever purchases I make, I will use credit card. So at the end of the month, I know roughly what card and how much I spend on my overall expenses. Example, I only have 2 cards. One is my UOB One card, another is my Plus card. Whatever groceries, I will just use it on the Plus card from NTUC. Whatever expenses, dining, leisure, I will just use it on my one card. Online purchases, insurance premium, road tax, whatever, petrol and all. So at the end of the month, I will just roughly see, because those are, in a sense, 80% essential. I will know roughly whether am I on track or is it at the right amount or not. Like suddenly, every month, usually be around 3K. But if this month spurts up to about 5K, then I know something is wrong with it. Then whatever cash in my bank will be just cash in my bank. I also don't really go and monitor. I just make sure that it's growing only. Like example, let's say 50K. I'll just make sure that there's some increment.
Okay.
Yeah,
Do you
so I
actually
don't.
have a target for your funds in the bank to reach by certain time frame or whatever?
No, time to time, yes, of course, there is a certain amount that I need to reach because I may want to have slightly higher liquid cash for emergency funding, that kind of things.
So, right, we talked about budgeting, different life stages that we are in, right? We find different motivation to sort of like keep track of our expenses. But at our age, we have gone through life stages where, when we first came out, we graduated, we get a first job, and then we get our first paycheck. That first paycheck may be a very meager paycheck on hindsight. So now, right, very likely that all of us are earning more than our first paycheck. And like what Andrea mentioned is that we are in the position to be able to spend more freely. So then there comes the temptation to spend not as prudently. Okay, if you want a cup of bubble tea, just go a cup of bubble tea, $5 only ma, I can afford it. So this is what we call lifestyle inflation. Our spending, right, increases with the quality of our lifestyle. So transitioning from a fresh graduate to getting your first income, do you see a transition or change in your lifestyle?
I mean, the major transition that I had was instead of taking public transport, I bought my own car. For our line of job, I feel that having a car is actually very important because I used to go from Tampines all the way to Jurong West for an appointment, and I took 1.5 hours to travel, and I would always fall asleep in the train. But the traveling is really taking like a lot of time.
Okay.
But when I have my own car, half an hour, I'll be able to reach the destination. Buying car for convenience and to cut the traveling time out. That's the biggest lifestyle inflation that I had.
What about Jakes?
This is a very interesting topic to me, which I've been giving it some thoughts recently as well. Because as we earn more, we will tend to think about upgrading things and big ticket stuff like houses, car, luxury stuff, or even start to think about holiday and not paying particularly to the pricing. One very bad habit that I have is whenever I go to the supermarket, I just, whatever things that I need to buy, I don't see the price. So if you ask me how much is that, I literally do not know. If I need the soy sauce, I'll just take it. I need this meat, I'll just take it. I need this fish, I'll just take it. I don't see the price. In some way, I don't really know how much it has risen over time, or am I spending more carefully in terms of creating more value. Meaning to say maybe $100, if I really go and spend wisely in the supermarket within the 2 hours, I can buy more things. But because of me just picking stuff off the shelf, now, I think these are habits that are actually accumulated over time together with your income capacity. Back to your topic of lifestyle inflation. While we spend more, it's just not about physically purchasing of stuff, but I think the mindset in terms of how you look at the money, how valuable is that money to you. Last time I have $5, I probably see this $5 as something super big, whereby whatever I want to buy, I will like think twice. Yeah, but now for most of you guys, I think $3, $5, you will just blindly just spend it away, don't even give it a second thought. So I think lifestyle inflation caused us to actually diminish the value of the money. While we spend it, we don't really see the value in it anymore. I've been trying to practice that regardless of what, I need to ensure that it's worth it.
So what I gather is lifestyle inflation is actually about how we value the money that we earn. The more money we earn, right, the less value we place on it, on every dollar that we earn. With increase in our income, right, of course, we want to also increase our lifestyle. What do you think about conforming to social norm? You have your group of friends who are peers with you, right? Their income is also increasing while they age, right, or they progress in their career. Do you see the need to actually keep up with your peers? I have friends, right, who is able to earn and who values luxury dining. And because I am her friend, she invites me for this kind of experience. So what are your thoughts on this? Do you see there is a need to keep up with your friends?
It's okay to pamper yourself once in a while, like fine dining and all, just for the experience. But I don't feel that there's any need to, match up with your friends that is in that status.
I think keeping up with social norms is something that I think we cannot avoid, or subconsciously it may be embedded or affecting our actions since very young. If you really think back, since secondary school, you saw your friend having this bag, a Converse new bag or a Converse new shoes, which I remember very clearly. And I go back, I will envision myself wearing that shoe and having that bag. Then I'll find all ways to persuade my dad to purchase that for me. I think social norms, peers, affection are still there, which unless, of course, if you are Andrew, that you are very self-controllable, then it's okay. But to me, I think that with some some factors that you are not able to control, it will actually affect us. That's the main reason why people are always saying that why you have to mix with people that are better than you. That's why then you will be equivalent or at the same level as them, because you are the average between among 5% that you mix with. I think this also plays a part with social norms, because when I see example, my friend are doing multiple investment and I'm not doing anything, I will have the urge to go and learn, to go and do the investment, which is what exactly happened to me. These are of course good things, but of course on the other side, if I see my friends purchasing luxury car, luxury watch, and then spending like nobody business, then it will also somewhat affect me. So I think boils down to the point, it's very important for each of us to determine ourselves what type of norms do we get affected by. For me, I have friends that can spend tons and tons of money on fashion. I mean, of course, I may be affected by that a little, because I see that, hey, you guys are dressing very well and the shirts and all are super expensive. But I think you probably have to take a step back, think back whether I need that or not. So if I really feel like I want to spend that money, I think yes, if it's within affordability, putting aside budgeting and all, I mean, if it's within affordability, you can spend that, but spend on something that are more value to you. Like for me, I love cars. So while my friends spend on their luxury clothes and all, yes, I may have the urge to spend the money, but you take a step back, then you think back, so you go and spend it on a car, which at least is still something value to you and what you prefer. So I think social norms wise probably will be affected, but it's good to manage it in some ways to yourself.
I guess it all boils down to the value that we place and the priorities that we have for the money that we earn. Then what is your stand on your standard of living? Like for example, now that at this income level, right, do you actually set yourself a standard of living which matches your income level?
This is a very tough question. Actually, because after what Jade says, right, in a way I'm thinking like subconsciously did I actually change my standard of living because of my income? I mean, I think it does to a certain extent.
It definitely 100%.
Like I won't purposely go and chase after the luxury stuff. Once a while, like really have more money, then I will go to the restaurant and pamper the whole family.
What about Jake? Are you a car lover? Do you actually think that what you own now in terms of car brand, car model actually matches what you perceive should be at your income level?
You see, as like what Andrea mentioned just now, the human brain and mind is so powerful that whenever the mind wants something, for some reasons, it will actually find some reasons, find some needs, find some excuses for you to purchase that thing. I mean, if you guys agree with me.
To a certain extent, yes.
That's why it's a very interesting topic. You literally can don't need this thing, but you start to find yourself reasons that, because of this, I need this, because of that, I need this. But essentially coming back to the point, at the very basis, you still can use what you're having now. So that's the reason why I think we cannot deny the fact that our mind, the greed and the desire are always still there. The very important thing is you have to be in control and managing that desire and greed. If I'm earning this amount, I can quite confidently say that only 30% of my current standard of living, or even 40%, is aligned to my income. You may be hearing me saying that I like cars, and then with my income, I can be driving like Merca or like Audi or whatever. Sorry, I'm just driving a Honda.
Me too, Honda.
Yeah.
Me too.
It depends on individual. Like for me, whatever that I like may not be something that has to be aligned to my income. So my income is more of using that as a benchmark of whether can I afford that or not. So first, I can go and identify things that I like. I like this model of watch that costs about maybe 25,000. So then I will go back to my income whether I can afford that or not, and whether is it valuable to buy that. But if I cannot afford that, then I can still like it. I just don't buy it. There will be something wrong if you cannot afford it and you still want to buy it.
Let's assume, okay, that we are all multi-millionaires now. We have a black card in our hand now, okay? There's no limit in spending. Would you still choose to live the way you live now, or you would choose to live some other ways?
No human will choose to live at their current state if they have that privilege of what you mentioned. No way. I mean, unless you are those that are super disciplined, strong mindset, we unlikely. Like what we highlighted at the first 2 pointers, budgeting and lifestyle inflation. With this privilege that you have just mentioned, there's no need for the first budgeting, and there can be unlimited lifestyle inflation already.
Yeah, so what I gather, right, is lifestyle inflation is pretty much unavoidable, but what can actually help us to fall into the pit of, overspending above and beyond what we can afford, right, is budgeting, whether it's formal or informal. So we keep track of what we spend, we place value in whatever that we are spending, and we evaluate whether is it worth it or not. Okay, so to close, right, to Andrea and Jakes, if you can turn back time, will you change your spending habit?
I will when I was 18 to 20 years old. As what I mentioned, I managed to earn quite a bit. So what I did was I did a lot of online shopping because I didn't keep track of my expenses. I realized that I have been spending around 1,500 to 2,000 just on clothes. It's horrible. The wake up call was only when I realized that my house has a lot of unopened parcel, and my mom also started to nag.
What about you, Jakes? What will your current self tell your past self about, spending habits?
I can't say that I would want to change anything because I think it actually contribute or shape a little part to my side, my current state in terms of like hunger, working attitude and things like that. Because to be open, I'm actually quite rich when I was young. At just secondary 4, my allowance is like $120 per week.
Wow.
I only have like $3 per day.
Alright.
And $16 only.
When I go to poly, my allowance is like 800 per month. But maybe because I'm the only child and I came from a single parent family, so my dad will splurge on me quite a fair bit. So he won't really control or teach me to save or manage in some way. So he will just like give me my monthly money. But probably because father and son, even though I finish it earlier, I won't really go and ask him for more. So this may contribute to a part whereby I need to how I manage. But I do spend quite a fair bit. I still remember when I just ORD or when I just enter army, right? My bank account has only like less than $500. Even though with those allowance that I have and all, but my spending was quite heavy one. Yeah, but I won't really change that because I think it's really a fun time to me during the poly days, during the secondary school days whereby you don't have so much concern, don't have so much holdback. Although I'm spending more, but although I don't save anything, but I think the money is well spent because it's really a
experience that you buy.
Yes. Correct. Yeah. So I think I won't change anything on that because from there probably it lead me to today to know that I have to manage money better. I have to invest or how to determine value of things and all. I think everything happens for a reason.
So just curious, right? With the kind of allowance that you have at that age, what do you spend on?
So out with friends, like eating, buying of things. I probably have the privilege to like maybe have an options to buy more things. When PS1 came out, I will have the privilege to buy that. PS2 came out, I'll have the privilege to buy that. Those kind of stuff.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. So tips for our audience, right? Okay. First and foremost, to sum up what we have discussed is budgeting is a very important tool to keep us in check with our spending, whether it is in line or whether it's above what we earn. And lifestyle inflation itself cannot be avoided, but we can choose to manage it at our own terms, whether through budgeting or whether, our belief, whether certain things have what kind of value is attached to it and whether we think that, it is worth it to spend our hard-earned money on that particular item. Value versus benefit, cost versus benefit, right? And if we can turn back time, right? I mean, for me, right, if I can turn back time, right, I will actually tell my younger self to, please lah, you save so much, but you don't invest. It's a waste of the money that you save because I don't spend much. I don't go for luxury goods. To me, is I can get my body covered. I have a roof over my head. I have enough space. That's it already. Very basic. These are very, very important things that we probably should take into consideration in our day-to-day spending so that, we can actually facilitate or move towards the financial goal that we want. For Andrea is basically to buy another house. For Jakes, I don't know, maybe a bigger house for his family. Jakes, what do you have a financial goal you have in mind within the next 5 to 10 years?
No, I don't really have a goal, but I think from my point of view, I would only just want to moderately increase the standard of living for my family. So like maybe my dad can stop working, I can really 100% support him, that kind of things. I measure it more towards like standard of living or even the quality of living. Or maybe like when my kids want something that is needed or need to go for enrichment classes, I don't have to think 2 times, 3 times of the tuition fees and all. So I may measure more towards, I think if let's say I have the capacity to actually shorten the thinking process, that means that somewhat rather it has already improved a fair bit.
Cool. That's a very nice financial goal to have. Okay, so thank you very much for joining us. I really learned a lot from both of you in terms of budgeting and your views about lifestyle inflation. I hope we can catch up again another time. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks for listening to us this week. Got a question or topic you'd like us to talk about on our podcast? We'd like to hear it from you. If you enjoyed our show and would like to stay up to date on what we do, follow us at Aegis Organization on Facebook and Instagram. In the meanwhile, cheers! The statements or opinions expressed on this site are ours and do not reflect the official policy or position of AIA Singapore Private Limited, any other agency, organization, employer, or company.